Morning everyone and welcome to Finish Your Plate. So today's episode is going to be more like chemistry rather than cooking because we're going to recreate one of the most famous Finnish drinks. And this drink is something that's consumed often at parties, any kind of celebration, surely at midsummer, which we are right now. But also it is most often offered to tourists that come to Finland. This is one of those dishes that we kind of offer to tourists and probably expect them to hate it. And of course, the drink that I mean is Salmiakkikossu, or just salty licorice vodka, which is what I'm going to be making. Salty licorice is a very unique candy that's found in most of Scandinavia, and I think also in the Netherlands, maybe a little bit in Germany, Iceland. And it's really an acquired taste. And it's one thing that many Finns miss when they are not in Finland. To make the salty licorice vodka, it's pretty simple. So I have here a half a liter of water coming to a boil. So if you remember, half a liter equals 500 grams. So I have the same amount of sugar, equal amounts of water and sugar. I also have here a teaspoon of citric acid. So what we're going to do is we're just going to create a simple syrup, like the kind of syrup you would use in any kind of other cocktails. So the water is just coming to a boil. I'm just going to mix the sugar in and the citric acid. Now we're just going to let the sugar dissolve and cook this for a few minutes. So what the citric acid is actually going to do is helps us create a liquid, a syrup, that is going to be sweeter than the sum of the two other components. While I'm waiting for the syrup to come to a boil again, let me talk to you about a couple of the other ingredients that I have here. So a salty licorice would not be anything, of course, without the salt. Now, don't be mistaken here. It is not table salt. There is no sodium in here at all. What actually there is ammonium chloride, which is going to give it that saltiness. If you go out, you could get ammonium chloride on eBay and places like that very easily. But just remember, make sure you get the food grade ammonium chloride. Do not get the laboratory grade. Ammonium chloride is used in doughs as a dough conditioner, so food grade ammonium chloride is pretty readily available. Also, I have here some licorice powder. This is going to give it that earthy kind of a taste. Some recipes omit it, which is completely fine. Some people actually may be a little bit sensitive to licorice powder, so use your own judgment there. I also have some charcoal powder here, which is going to give it that black color. Could you use black food coloring? Yeah, sure, but it also contains artificial dyes like red 40 and blue 1, for example. So I prefer to use the charcoal instead. And lastly, but probably one of the most important ingredients, is anise extract. Finnish salty licorice is very anise forward. There's a definite taste of anise in there, so you cannot omit this. You could certainly get anise extract at Amazon, eBay, any number of stores. It's pretty readily available. But make sure you add some of it. Then, if you are somebody who grew up with licorice, and once you add anise, you will find out that that is really the flavor that I'm looking for. So I'm just going to let this cook for about 5 minutes. Then I'm going to add the licorice powder while it's still hot, and I'm going to let it cool down. I'm just going to add a heaping teaspoon of licorice powder. Mix it in, whisk it in, kind of making like licorice tea, almost. There we go. Also, what I have here is 50 grams of ammonium chloride. So we're going to put that in. Ammonium chloride. It tends to clump up, so make sure you whisk vigorously when adding it. There we go. I'm also going to add a teaspoon of activated charcoal. There we go. And also what I'm going to add is 2 teaspoons of anise extract. I'm not going to add it just right now because it's still a little bit hot, so the extract would just boil off. So I'm going to let it cool down just a little bit before adding the extract. Now the syrup has cooled sufficiently, so I'm just going to add the anise extract in. So now our calamari or salty licorice mixer has definitely cooled down. So making the drink is super easy. I just have a jigger here, a bunch of ice. I'm going to mix ice in my mixer. And I'm going to measure basically equal parts of mixer and vodka. Now, if you want to go really traditional, you can see if you can find the Koskenkorva viina or Koskenkorva vodka at your local liquor store. It's sold in the US. But if you can't, regular vodka will do just fine. Remember, once you open the bottle of vodka, you discard the cap. You don't need it anymore. Shake it, and then pour it. There we go. Happy partying. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Finish Your Plate.